Yeah, it's something that's come up on this show quite a few times because I've had Stani Kulichev of Aave in this studio, and we had this conversation, and I'm like, well, what do you have next plan for Aave? What's the direction? And he's like, well, Brian, my job is to get up every day and write code that's good enough that people want to use. He's like, I don't actually form the direction of this company. That's actually controlled by the people that own this blockchain. And I was like, wow, that's such a non-VC way of thinking, because the VCs would be dictating and they would be championing the Steve Jobs and the Elon Musks. And, we, like you said, we put the capital in, we centralize it, we own the upside, we control the direction, we set the trends, and been doing that very successfully for 50, 60 years, right? And now you're going to tell them that, guess what? The community is going to tell you what to do next. It's going to be a DAO. You're not going to own it. You've got to give up control in order for it to become bigger. I don't know. That's a real fundamental shift, like you said, in the human ego, and how even capitalism has worked for hundreds of years, where the victor belongs the spoils, right? You put the capital up, you get the big wins. And this Web 3.0 it's a real shift in human paradigm. Does any of that stuff resonate with you?
Yeah, but I think if you look at some of the disruptions that the internet has caused before, there is a trend like that. Like for example, imagine when Wikipedia came up, people were like, this is just ridiculous. Like, random people on the internet cannot write articles that would compare to information coming from sophisticated places where there's a hierarchy, right? And in the hierarchy, people definitely were qualified, right? And they would be a chief editor or something, and they would kind of like publish a encyclopedia, and people would trust that information. But imagine that the power of the community on the internet is it's such a force, right? That they will self-correct their information, and because it's fluid, so many people can participate there that eventually that organic system ends up being much better than the centrally controlled type of information sources. We've seen the same thing happen over and over again, even with open source software. Like, imagine that there would be open source projects. Initially, like, they're small, they're clunky, people are working on them like in their free time. But because they're open, anyone in the world can actually contribute to them and can audit them, can actually improve the code quality. Even companies like Google or Facebook that have all the money in the world, all the resources in the world, still can't compete with open source projects. So open source projects will become so much better over time because everyone in the world could actually contribute to them, right? So it's a little bit of the same thing going on here, that instead of a CEO and a board, no matter how qualified they are, trying to make the best decision for a project, you're basically letting 1,000 experiments happen, and organically better ideas are emerging in an open ecosystem. And it's very hard to compete with that, right? Because almost by definition, the smartest people in the world are not in the room with you. Like, they're actually out there somewhere in the world, and your job is to. So I think your people's jobs in crypto protocols actually becomes, how open can you be to your communities? And it's a little bit like you're more present and you're trying to help good things that are happening, right? You're actually not trying to dictate that here are the good things that should happen. So you become not the driver, but you actually become one of the people who are helping everyone going in an organic direction, right? So it's not that you don't have a role anymore, I think, but you just have a very different role.